Hey YouTube, here's Heiko. Today we're in our backyard. Pool season is up on us and we're setting up our above ground pool. And we've already started, but I figured this would make for a good video for you guys that have those. I give you a couple tips. We have owned above ground pools in different sizes and shapes for combined probably the last 8 years. And yeah, we've managed to nurse this one along for the last 5 years. So you will see it's already pretty ratty looking. We always take it down over winter and store it in a shed. And then when we put it back together, inside is really clean and nice. Doesn't have any holes, at least I believe. So let me turn the camera around and then I'll give you a couple tips and then we're just gonna set it up in front of you. All right guys, so as you can see, pool is already rolled out. We already have the top bars in here. I have a little bottle of baby powder here. When you slide the steel bars through the vinyl pool to make it easier on yourself at the end of the season to take it all apart, rub some baby powder onto those steel bars, or else the vinyl pool material will literally fuse with a coating on those steel bars. So rolled out, top bar is in. We already put the legs into their location. As you can see, under our pool we have it's a non-woven material that keeps weeds from growing through and potentially damaging your pool. Underneath is DG, decomposed granite, pretty much like sand, to make a very flat and level surface. You gotta make sure that your pool sits level, or else the Intex pools, or this one here is the best way, they might actually collapse on you. So if you put them up totally kitty wampets and fill them up with water, that is enough weight that makes a non-level pool collapse. So now we're just going to continue and take you along. And you need to have at least 3 people. You definitely want to pick a day when it's not windy. Wind really makes it complicated. As soon as there's water in it, let's say halfway up, the pool doesn't go anywhere anymore. But in the empty state, it's really like a big sail. So yeah, that's pretty much 90% of the setup. Now we just get the long garden hose out. Make sure your drain valve is all closed. Here, let me take you around the pool. Our really old looking pool. So you have to have a flat platform. We bought this non-woven fabric material. Here are all the ports. This is an aftermarket opening for a through wall skimmer that we're going to set up later. Like I said, baby powder on those bars makes it much easier to slide them around, to twist them, to make that all line up. And yeah, now it's already sitting here. Now we're going to start filling. In the filling process, you have to go into your pool and push the corners out and make it all smooth so you don't have wrinkles in the floor. And then once we're more or less filled up, then I'm going to show you the plumbing of this thing. This is all not original anymore. I modified a lot of things, did PVC plumbing instead of the cheap Best Way flexible hoses. Yeah, so let me get the garden hose started and then we're going to talk later. So now we have the 2 garden hoses running full power. As soon as I have an inch or 2 of water on the ground, I will go around and just kick the corners out, make sure no wrinkles. Already looks pretty good. And then it will take a few hours for the water to come up. In the process, well, in the time that I will be waiting for this, I will install our through the wall skimmer and put up the pump, put up our saltwater chlorine generator, and we'll tell you a little bit about this. Yeah, like I said, we made the mistake and left it out one winter, and even if you're not using it, but it sits outside in the winter, sun is beating down on it, this is just discolored so badly. We have not done it since, but yeah, the damage is done. So the pool gets really ugly if you leave it out over winter. And then the water freezes up in it. You have to drain it out halfway so you can take all the plumbing off. You cannot leave the pump or the plumbing up in the winter, or else everything is going to be cracked, broken, whatever. So yeah, that was a big mistake, but the pool is 5 years old, so you know, I think we got our money's worth. We bought this one 5 years ago at Costco. It was $450. I've spent a little more on it to upgrade it. The through wall skimmer is $30 or $40. We bought a bigger pump, but you will see this later. All right, guys, let's talk about through wall skimmer and why I put one into this pool. Usually those Intex or Best Way or Coleman pools don't come with a through wall skimmer. So it's a total aftermarket solution to increase the cleaning performance of your pump. This looks a little bit like a hack, but that's pretty much what it is. Right where your fill line is of your pool, the high you want to have your water in there, you put this through wall skimmer. It has a flapper in the front that kind of controls the water flow through here, and then in here is a basket that kind of catches all the leaves and all that. So this is a piece that's in every normal in-ground pool that you would find anywhere, and just those cheap above ground pools don't have it. And this one here is a Hayward, I want to say. You can even install those through wall skimmers while the pool is filled. You just have to be really smart about it. You have to have all the bits and pieces, all the plumbing, all the adapters that you might need. You know, the problem is that normal in-ground pool plumbing and also this through wall skimmer here is plumbed with PVC pipe, and all the threading and every fitting that you can get for those is standard size, so in inches, and all the Intex pumps and hoses and stuff is all metric, and so you have to buy adapters to make that all work with each other. But it's all available. Amazon is your best friend in this case. And if you would want to install one into your pool while the water is already in there, no big deal. You pretty much take this thing out of the box. It comes with some instructions also. Has some stainless steel hardware here. Let me take that apart. Almost there. Last one. And then it comes with a one-piece gasket that is supposed to be kind of put into the opening, so it's kind of like a U profile that goes around it. You have to cut that into two pieces. And then you take your skimmer, put it against your pool wall wherever you want it, put the frame and the second half of the gasket from the inside, poke the holes for the screws, put the screws in, tighten it all up, do the entire plumbing back to your pump, and once you're ready and you think you have done everything, then you take a cutter knife, razor blade from the inside and cut this opening into the skimmer. And how to cut the opening is pretty easy. You just follow the gasket. This has served us really well, helps you a lot with keeping debris and leaves that are floating on top of your pool out. It really helps clean up the pool. Oh my goodness. There you go. Top or bottom doesn't matter. Maybe I should have at least one screw in my hand. Allergy season is also upon us, so if I sound like I have allergies, yes, you are correct. All right, so it's already hanging. You know, it's easy to do once it was installed. In the winter time, when we take this pool down, I usually take it off. So we can fold it up a little nicer. It fits. I have a shelf in my garden shed to store everything nicely. All the parts of the pool go into the same location. So next season I find everything. And yeah, you gotta make sure when you winterize your pool, I mean put it away over winter, you definitely want to dry it all off. Don't leave any water on it or leave it wet when you fold it up. We have we have dogs, we have big dog towels that are only used for the dogs. And once a year the dog towels turn into the pool towels. So we dry the pool down, clean it all off as good as we can, fold it as nicely as we can. Bless you. Bless you. And this through-wall skimmer, you would think cutting a hole into the side of your pool, that's a big no-no. But really the tension on this material, especially high up, is not that great. And we've had it in here for 4 years and I haven't seen any tears, rips, or anything developing. We have never had a leak with this. Of course, those rubber gaskets that come with a skimmer, they might deteriorate. So to make it a little easier for myself, just go inside. While you're filling your pool, it's a good idea to be around and to always check if all the legs and the structure is still standing straight. I usually run around a few times and always pull the legs out, make sure everything is straight. The top bar here, they tend to always kind of slide one way or the other. I try to all center it, make sure the leg openings are kind of in the middle of the opening here in the vinyl, and you can only correct that while there isn't that much water in the pool yet, or else there's going to be so much tension on it that you can't move the parts anymore. That's just, you know, something to keep in mind. So now I have almost all my screws in. This here's a Phillips head number 3. You don't want to strip those out. Stainless steel hardware into plastic. And now we're gonna tighten all the screws up in a cross pattern, which probably on a plastic frame on a pool wall doesn't really make all that much of a difference, but it's a good habit to develop. All right, so through wall skimmer is in place. And if you really develop a leak, you can always go around one more time and tighten the screws one more time. Like I said, we've never had any issues with this. And it's like a total aftermarket installation. There are a bunch of videos on how to do that. My method would be fill the pool, know where your water line is going to be, then pick a location where you like your skimmer, and then install it, plumb it, and then cut the opening after the fact. So now we're going to take a look at the plumbing situation here. You definitely want to have a, for whatever pool plumbing outlet or return line, you for sure want to have some sort of shutoff valve. As you can see here, I just used a union and then a large PVC. This is 1.5 inches. We have a second one on here which isn't really in use. I had the idea, if I would ever buy a vacuum cleaner that needs suction to function, I would hook it to this one. So this is here. I don't even know why I have the hose on here. Definitely take that off this year. So yeah, you definitely want shutoff valves. So if something leaks or if something needs to be repaired, maybe you need to repair your pump or exchange your pump because it just died, you want to be able to shut off the water from the pool. So this is total aftermarket 1.5 inch PVC plumbing. Now let's go over here. Usually those pools always have 2 suction ports that kind of tee together and then one line to the pump. Here in our case we only have this skimmer. I replaced the 2 little suction ports with one big one. It's a safety feature, so if you have little kids swimming around and your pump is really powerful, if you would only have 1 suction port, they might get sucked against the suction port and then drown. With a large opening like this, the current in there is definitely not that strong. Here is the return port, so the water going back into the pool. Let me grab my little box over there. I have accumulated bits and pieces over the years because we had 2 different pools, and you know, I just picked the best ones. I've bought extra parts and, you know, I have played around with different methods of plumbing. This here I like the best. So this is the return port. Here's a rubber gasket. The rubber goes to the inside, so like this. And then a big old crown nut, just hand tight. You can always tighten it later if something starts leaking. You gotta make sure you have a rubber gasket. Oh, I'm bleeding already. It's like a T-profile rubber gasket in here. Make sure you don't have any grime, dirt, sand, debris on here. Every connection has to have rubber, or else it will leak. And some of those cheaper Intex pools that they sell at Walmart, they have much smaller hose diameter. That really affects pump performance. And they also always come with cartridge filter pumps. I'm not a big fan of cartridge filters unless you have a really, really big one. The small ones that come with Intex pools, you have to clean them like weekly. So that was my first upgrade for this. Oh, here's an O-ring in here. Make sure you have O-rings or rubber or some sort of seal in there. If you forget that, you will definitely have a leak. So this here is the next shut-off valve. So I can shut off the skimmer and I can shut off the return line here as well. We're gonna close it for now because we don't want water to come into the line until I actually, every year I kind of have to fiddle around until I really know how everything has to go back together. Oh yeah, and then this nozzle thing goes on the inside. We have a Intex vacuum cleaner that actually gets hooked to the return line. It uses some sort of Venturi effect to make the vacuum action, and it's the cheapest vacuum cleaner you can buy. Some people like it, some people don't. You have to have a pretty good pump for that. The pump has to be powerful enough to make this Venturi effect happening. Ours apparently is good enough. So now that port is hooked up, and on the inside you have this nozzle on here. It's all kind of this nozzle is supposed to be adjustable. It's all dried up. Once there's water running through it, it's going to be all a little nicer. So yeah, here's the cover for the Hayward skimmer. Let's put that back on here. And also every few days you can take the basket out. There are going to be bugs in there and leaves and whatever other debris. It's always a good idea to have your pool sitting in a location where you don't have huge trees around. That is the case. So now let's look at this is a sand filter pump. I want to say it's an Intex, or is it? It's Intex. Yes, I think so. Or maybe this is even the pump that came with our pool. I don't remember. We used to use filter sand. So this gets either filled with filter sand or with those little puffy filter balls that you can buy in the pool supply section. Some online vendors. I've tried those. They give the pump a little bit more performance. Apparently they just have way less resistance to the flow of water. And yeah, so far, you know, we cleaned this all out, we dumped the water out, and those balls are actually reusable. So as long as you make sure you leave this open over winter, you dump all the water out. It has a drain port down here, little cap. Make sure you open that up, drain out your filter, and then keep it in a dry location. Nothing is going to be moldy, nothing is going to be rotting. It's perfectly reusable. This here is a big distribution valve that goes right on top of the filter and gets connected. Oh, drain, which way now? In, that way. So in port, out port, and a drain port. At the bottom of this distribution valve is another little strainer, and that also gets completely caked and clogged with dead bugs. So at least once a year, when you take this all apart, you want to take those two Phillips head screws out, take it to your shop, blow it out with compressed air. That's what I do to get all the bug carcasses and bees and whatever else gets clogged in here. And yeah, then this whole contraption, when it goes into the filter housing here, has a large o-ring. You want to make sure it's clean and not cracked. You could put some silicone grease on here, or just some spit when you put it in, so you have a little bit of some lubrication. The top here clean. If you use filter sand and you have to fill this inside, you got to make sure you don't get the sand into this tube, because then you're going to be clogging it up. So then it goes in here like that. This is the import, so we want to kind of point it towards the pump output. And then it has this clamp ring here. You have to take one screw out, open it up to put it around. All this background noise, someone is, I don't know, leaf blowing over there. All those noisy neighbors. Let's see if we can, in this century, get this apart. Here we go. And then you put the ring around it. Does it have a up or down, bottom or top? Nope. Like that and like so. And then you put your screw back in there, and then you tighten it, and you don't have to, you know, it's not like the 190-pound gorilla cranking on those bolts. Remember, this is all stainless steel. If you overdo it, they might fuse together and you will never get it apart ever again. What's the story here? Traffic here behind us as well. Oh yeah, and I remember now. There is some sort of orientation. Oh yeah, there are a couple little bumps here, and you have to have the open ends over the bumps. Here we go. Or else it doesn't fit. Yeah, you can tell I'm a total professional. I know exactly what I'm doing. It's literally like every year. It's been sitting from October to May. I don't remember how to put this all together. It's great. Every year it's like a guesswork. How did it go? Which pipe goes where? All right, here we go. Like I said, don't reef on it. The O-ring, the big O-ring, is going to do the sealing, and this is really only to help it stay in place. You can see next to me here, there are a couple pallets, and those pallets are here so we can roll our cheapo solar panel out. The solar panel gets hooked between the pump and our saltwater system. It deteriorates the performance of the pump significantly. So in the middle of summer, when it's hot here every day, and the pool water is already 90 degrees, there's no reason to have a solar panel. Then I usually, in the middle of summer, I just turn off my shutoff valves, yank the solar panel out. But in the beginning and at the end of the season, it helps to make it a little bit more comfortable. So let me grab my little box. I always try to keep all the parts together in one box, so I know once I'm done putting it together that I don't have any leftover parts. You gotta make sure you have a rubber gasket in every connection. Then a little hose here. That's between the pump and the filter. They come in different lengths. So over the years I've bought extra hoses because, you know, either that one hose wasn't long enough or that one is way too long and I didn't like how it looked. So I always have a few spares lying around to make it all work and have a backup in case something breaks. So now we already have the pump connected to the filter. Our old filter media is still in there. Here's the drain. You have to do some backwashing occasionally. Yeah, let me take this loose one more time. I don't like to have too much tension on here between the pump and the filter, so it's a good idea to find the location of this valve up here where everything fits together without much tension. Kind of like so. Okay. So, and then let me back you up a little. So now this is the import for the pump, right? And here's again a strainer basket in here under this clear cover that can be taken out to dump it out, but that only works if you have shutter valves in your lines here. So the cover also has a rubber gasket in it. You gotta inspect that once in a while. If it's cracking, you gotta find a replacement. So now between the line that comes from our skimmer to the port here. We gotta find a hose that fits right in there. That would be this one. Again, rubber seal on each end. There we go. Don't cross threader. It's all plastic. It's not very forgiving. Here's a drain plug at the bottom of the strainer. That needs to be closed up. Here is a vent at the top. So once everything is connected and the pool is filled, you can open this up to let the air out to fill this strainer in the pump housing, because you don't want to run a pump empty. They don't like that. It's probably all plastic gears inside. So now here's one of those places where I had to use adapters from metric to standard size to, you know, make the flexible Intex hoses work with PVC plumbing. Oh, my allergies are killing me. I don't know if I like it this way. This goes inside or outside? Does anyone know? Let's stick this. This is the return line that goes back to the pool. And as you can see, I put some flex up in here. It's really not that important. I like it pretty streamlined, more or less. So now I'm going to get another piece of kit. Let me pause you for a second. So we have converted this into a saltwater pool. With saltwater, sodium chloride in the pool, you can put a chlorine generator in here, which pretty much automatically, without you dumping bottles of bleach into your pool or chlorine, creates the proper chlorine level. It's actually pretty simple. It reduces your pool maintenance and you buying chemicals all the time by 90%. So at the beginning of the season, I know how much water goes in here by calculation. Dump the right amount of pool salt that you can buy in the pool supply store in there. That gets mixed up by the running pump, and once it's all nicely mixed up, you start up your little Intex saltwater system, and this will create chlorine by itself from the sodium chloride, and you literally never have to put any extra chlorine in there. This has a boost function, so if for whatever reason it wasn't running for a couple days and there's no chlorine in the pool, you start the boost function. That will increase the chlorine level like right out of the gate. This has worked flawlessly. We have stopped buying chlorine or bleach. Bleach, by the way, the unscented one out of the laundry section in the supermarket, you can buy as chlorine substitute for your pool, much cheaper. What the other only chemical that I put in here is stabilizer. What that does is it helps the chlorine stay in the pool. UV ray sunlight burns off the chlorine in your pool, and with stabilizer it just lasts a little longer, so your system has a little bit easier time to keep up with the demand. This is not an intelligent system, so it knows whether or not you have enough or too much salt in it, and it knows if your pump is flowing, but it doesn't know anything about chlorine levels. How you determine how long to run the system is by test strip. So you have to test for chlorine level, and if it's not enough chlorine at the end of the day, you have to run this longer. So it's by run time rather than by measuring or anything. So it's a dumb system, but it literally makes your life so much easier. Yeah, so both just run off of 110 volt. We use a thick contractor type style extension cord out here in the summer. In the winter that all gets put away. So this is already all plumbed in. all the connections are made. This is just for the backwashing hose. You gotta backwash once in a while. Your filter media, it doesn't matter if you use sand or filter balls, will clog up. And then here on the side is a pressure gauge. So when the pressure gauge needle goes towards the red, that means that your resistance in the filter media is too high, and that means that you have to backwash your filter. So you put it to backwash, turn the pump on, run it until, I usually put a hose on here, until you get clear water, then you turn it off, then you go to rinse, run it again for a minute until you get clear water, and then you go back to filter, and then turn it on and be happy. And then you will notice that on your little gauge over here, the pressure has dropped significantly and it goes back to the green. So we're not there yet. We still have to fill the pool. We have to put salt in it and the stabilizer. There is a app. I will put a link down below. It's called Pool Pal, and Pool Pal really helps you with figuring out everything. How much salt you need, how much stabilizer you need. I usually just use simple test strips, 6-way test strips that test for chlorine level, hardness, alkalinity, pH, and your stabilizer. Is that it? Chlorine, hardness, alkalinity, pH, stabilizer, and what else? There's one more thing I forget. Anyways, with those test strips, I'll just check once in a while. Oh yeah, chlorine is fine. If the pH is low or high, the Pool Pal will help you figure out how to get it up or down. Sometimes you just have to aerate, stir up the pool a little more to increase pH. Alkalinity, I mean, you can buy chemicals for everything, but there are also always substitutes. So washing soda, borax, what does that do? Lower or increase the alkalinity? I forgot, but Pool Pal will tell you. Yeah, so this is setting up a Intex pool, or best way in this instance here, how to plumb it all together, what kind of upgrades you can do. So now we pretty much have it all set up. Skimmer line, return line, saltwater system. If your pool doesn't have one, do it. The amount of salt that goes in there is so minimal. I mean, we're talking about, I'm probably going to put 60 pounds of pool salt in here. You cannot taste it, or it's so minimal. It doesn't taste like seawater. It's just ever so slightly, it's there, but you know, you cannot taste it. And then this machine will make the chlorine for you. It's all done by runtime. So let's say we run the pump for 12 hours, run this 4 hours a day in conjunction with the pump, and you will always have a clean, no algae pool. It's just perfect. And then if you really have to have a solar panel, they make those cheap plastic. It's pretty much just a black piece with piping going through it. You put that either in between your pump and your saltwater system, or you can also put it at the end of the saltwater system and then put it back into your return line. We might do that later this week, but first let's fill it. I walked around, pushed the edges out. The floor is pretty flat, you know, and we have this non-woven fabric here that makes it a little cushier, and underneath is really just DG, decomposed granite. So we're already pretty good. The garden hose is running. Now I'm going to run some errands and then check one more time. Yeah, you got to make sure that you have your pipes and everything in the right location. I keep looking around, but it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. And then pulling out the legs, so those flaps down there are completely stretched. So that's what holds the pool together. I'm waiting for the day that this pool collapses on us because it's so old. And then we have 3,900 gallons of water suddenly in our backyard. That would be great. Salt water out of your pool is not super great for your vegetation. So when you drain your pool, you definitely don't want to dump it into your flower beds. That might kill them. But yeah, it's a little bit of sodium. And this is the least amount of chemical type pool that you can have. There's sodium chloride in there, so table salt, and pool stabilizer. That's cyanuric acid. Also, Pool Pal tells you how much you need to put into your size of pool. And that's it. That's it. So, and someone's calling for me. Okay, I'm coming. All right, guys. If you have any questions, suggestions, complaints, please put them in the comments. I will answer. You guys take care. Give me a thumbs up and subscribe, please. Bye. Yeah.